Happy Monday night to all my people out there, man. It's your boy Divine Says Boxing back in the building. We back in here for another one. A very entertaining and extravagant live last night. It got a little bit heated. We were infiltrated briefly by trolls, but we still put in that work. We held our own. And the fortress is secure once again. So what's good, everybody, man? Hope you guys have had a good day thus far. We're going to get right to the nitty gritty. You guys see the title of the live stream, man. So we about to clear the air right now. We're going to get right to it. We're going to figure out based off of, my thoughts, obviously, because I'm the host of this topic. But at some point, we're going to add in people to get their opinion as well. You see the poll. It's a very simple poll. It's an opportunity for your voice to be heard. So first thing that you need to do is vote on that poll and get the likes all the way up. Get the likes all the way up. I have a feeling that this topic, as we go along here, is going to get heated. So, go ahead and get the participation rising. All right. So, just double checking everything right quick. All right. So, so far in the poll, out of the three, who's the best? Tank, Garcia, Haney. So far, we got 67% for Devin Haney, but we got a strong 33% for Tank. Let's see if anybody comes in here and shows Danny Garcia any love. Let's see. Let's see what happens. If you guys don't know, it's not Blood, but Blue Blood, rather, was live not too long ago. And, he was talking about the possibility of the Tank and Ryan Garcia fight happening either on a Floyd Mayweather undercard with Conor McGregor. There was also some rumblings of another Mayweather-De La Hoya matchup, which is hilarious. So those are some rumors that are sprouting at the moment, which the idea of a Mayweather-McGregor rematch isn't as far-fetched as what people may think it may be. I don't know if it'll happen, but it kind of does make sense business-wise if you think about it. Floyd trying to maximize income, right? Like he always does. If he's able to maneuver and get Conor McGregor back into the ring for a second time and then host a Tank versus Ryan Garcia matchup, I mean, that literally is maximizing revenue to the highest level, right? So I don't know how true it is, but, It's just something that I want to throw out to you guys if you haven't heard already. That is that is the rumors right now currently. But putting all the speculation to the side, let's just chop it down. Stylistically, who do we think's the better fighter of the three? And we're going to break it down piece by piece. But I first want to shout out to my man K-Rod first in the building. What's up, K-Rod? I knew you'd be in here talking about this topic for sure. Omega Red, as always, dropping in and supporting. My man Teach, been a little while, bro, but good to see you, man. Good to see you in the building. Mike Biggs boxing. My man Mike Biggs putting in that heavy lifting everywhere he goes. Demon Kennedy in the building. We got the Demon in here. And yeah, so let me go ahead and give you guys my thoughts. And let's start off with a Tank Davis Ryan Garcia fight. All right, let's start it off with that because we got three names here and we're trying to figure out who's the best out of the three. And by the way, for future reference as well, at any point somebody sends me a Cash App, make sure y'all let me know in the chat, man, so I can peep it and I can recognize you for sending a Cash App because I don't always get it, man. But look, Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis, which is, like I said, the rumors that are sprouting up now currently. Who do I think wins that fight? To me, it's not really a debate. It's not really a conversation. It's not something that is I just don't have to break it down very much. To me personally, I just see Ryan getting caught with something. I mean, it's as simple as that. I know that sounds very basic, but there's really no other way to cut it or slice it. I understand Ryan's taller. He's got range. He's got some decent power. He does things well. But how tough is Ryan, though? Like, how good is his chin, though? You know what I mean? Like, Ryan Garcia will probably do a bit better than what Rolly did. I think he's a bit more technically sound in some ways, but I think the result more or less is the same. You know, it's all about timing for Tank. Ryan Garcia might put in some moments where he hits the body and it gets the crowd into it and Tank's on the back foot here and there. But it's all about timing for Tank, in my opinion. And Tank's going to just time something, catch Ryan. We know Ryan's been hurt before. We know that Ryan's chin is really hasn't really been tested. I mean, against a guy with the power like Tank Davis. I mean, it is what it is. He just hasn't. And I think that's a factor. And it's funny because we've had conversations on here before about the conversation about chins and how relevant they are in boxing. And we've had people go back and forth. So, well, chin don't matter. Well, chin doesn't win you fights. Well, I guess that is technically true, but a chin matters in boxing. It's your ability to take a punch, obviously, in a close fight, or even if you're losing a fight. It makes the fight compelling. There are fighters throughout history that had granted chins and an engine and stamina, not the most technically sound, and they're able to pull out victories based off of their ability to take their opponent's best punch. So chins are very relevant, and I just don't have the confidence in Ryan Garcia's chin at this point until he proves me otherwise up against a strong puncher. With that being said, now I flip it to Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. Completely different matchup. Did I say Danny Garcia? I'm talking about Ryan Garcia. Yeah, sorry. I should have put it. My bad. I should have put Ryan Garcia to be specific. There's a lot of Garcias out there. Yeah, we talking about Ryan Garcia, bro. So yeah, let's talk about Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney now. It's a totally different style matchup. I see the fight playing out completely different than what I would see a Tank Davis Ryan Garcia fight. I think I see a 12-round fight in that one with Devin Haney just pretty much outboxing and controlling the fight. there's not as much discrepancy between Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia as there is Ryan Garcia and Tank Davis in regards to height and length. I think Ryan still might have the slight edge, but with Devin Haney's foot speed, he makes up that inch or so that he loses against height and reach against Ryan Garcia. And I just think he does what he does. Once again, you know, I want to say this too about Devin Haney, because I think it's important. As I've seen comments on different live streams, and I've seen people say different things about Devin Haney. And one thing that people say is that, well, Devin Haney doesn't have a chin. Well, at what point has he proven that he doesn't have a chin? I mean, because people say, well, why are you saying Ryan doesn't have a chin? Well, Ryan's been dropped. Ryan has been visibly hurt. Ryan's had to come back in fights because he's been hurt. Right? Devin Haney's never really been in that position. So why wouldn't I have faith in his chin when I've seen him take flush punches and come back with a combination? And quite frankly, the fact that he avoids punches more than he receives punches is also very valuable and credible in my opinion. So I think that he's got a hell of a chin. He hasn't proven or shown any other discrepancy as far as the ability to take a punch thus far. So my rating for his chin is very high. So Ryan Garcia against Devin Haney, to me, is, well, if Ryan Garcia can't hurt Devin Haney, it's a wrap. I mean, it's as simple as that. And my whole thing about Ryan Garcia is okay, everybody talks about his power. Everyone talks about his ability to go to the body and load up with big punches. And, he's an eye catcher type fighter. Oh, he catches the eye because, he loads up with punches and it seems like he punches so hard. Well, I want to see him throw those same type of punches against high caliber fighters like a Tank Davis and Devin Haney. And let's see if, in fact, that power is real. You know what I mean? And that's my biggest complaint about Ryan Garcia, just as it is for most people, is the level of competition. PGH, big dog in the building, was good. It's the level of competition, which he has yet to really fight. And when you have a guy like Ryan, who seems like can punch hard, who seems like he's talented, but has yet to fight top competition, then that's always going to be the top complaint. And nobody's going to give him, according to him, I don't get the credit I deserve. Well, that's why you don't get the credit that you deserve. Now, the same type of ideology can be passed on to Tank Davis. As talented as he is, the things that he's accomplished. Has he fought high-level fighters himself? And then people will swing it back to Devin Haney and say, well, who has Devin Haney fought? Haney hasn't fought any bit. He got Kambosos. He fought an A+ fighter? Well, that is exactly the reason why we have this conversation, is because not all three of these men, this is why they need to fight each other. This is why they need to fight each other, because to this point, all three men have not fought, number one, the big names to make a lot of money, and number two, an A+ caliber type fighter in the division, 135 to 140. Okay, they just haven't. So that's why it's important that these men all fight each other. Now, for the sake of conversation, you can throw Lomachenko in there and throw Teofimo back in there if you wanted to. But to me, you have Devin Haney undefeated, Tank Davis undefeated, Ryan Garcia undefeated. Right? Teofimo's not undefeated. Lomachenko's not undefeated. Now, Lomachenko and Teofimo's already fought each other, and Teofimo won. Teofimo's got a fight coming up here not too far in the future. If he looks good, maybe you can swing him back into conversation. But for me, it's these three men need to fight each other ASAP. Now, we're not 100% sure what's going to happen in regards to Kambosos and Devin Haney on whether they're going to actually exercise the rematch or not. But to me, this is priority number one. Rather it's at 135 or 140, I don't give a shit, to be honest with you. I don't give a shit, to be honest with you. As long as these three men fight each other, because it's lucrative. It's somebody's gotta go. The style matchups are very nice, very intriguing. And these three men need to be a top priority in these two divisions to make these fights happen, not only for boxing, but for their legacy as well. All three of these men desperately need a credible name on their resume. And as much as we look at Devin Haney and his victory over Kambosos and it becomes undisputed, like, how big of a name is Kambosos? I mean, let's keep it real. Kambosos had one big victory over Teofimo. He pulled an upset, and it's like, it is what it is, right? It's really no different than like Buster Douglas, right? He beats Mike Tyson, takes the straps, and then his next fight, he gets obliterated. So how credible is that win over Buster Douglas really after beating Mike Tyson? Nobody really talks about that, right? Nobody really talks about Evander Holyfield, obliterating Buster Douglas after he just got done beating Mike Tyson, right? Everyone was just like, oh, yeah, well, he caught Mike Tyson on a bad night. So that's just the way boxing works. And so that's what we have to understand about Devin Haney. And hey, if anybody's wondering on a stylistic point of view, looking from a boxing lens, not resumes, not legacies, and all that shit, and somebody says, oh, out of the three, who do you favor? For me personally, it's Devin Haney, right? And this is where I get to the point where I'll go ahead and drop the link for anybody that wants to jump in and challenge it or solidify my reasonings or my points. I think Devin Haney stylistically is the best fighter, period. At 135, and he'll eventually go to 140. You can mark it on the wall. I guarantee you that he's going to go to 140 and do well there too. He's got the frame for it. He's got the ability for it. He's got the boxing IQ for it. He's got all the tangibles that you need to be able to move up in weight, just like Floyd Mayweather did when Floyd was at 135, going into 140, 147, and et cetera, et cetera. Very, very similar. Very, very similar abilities as well. So I think he has the biggest upside. I think that his style and his ability is what's going to propel him. But he has yet to prove himself, right? And that's not throwing shade at him. That's not discrediting him. I think if you're Devin Haney and somehow you don't have to get into this rematch with George Kambosos, I mean, your priority should be honing in on Tank and Ryan Garcia. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, he can fight Teofimo if Teofimo wins because they've had beef, they've had issues, or, oh, he can go and fight Lomachenko. Yeah, that's true. That is true. The only reason why I would want to see a Teofimo and Devin Haney fight is simply because I think they have unfinished business. They have unfinished business. There's been some, slick shit said to each other. And I think that Teofimo, in a way, has to be held accountable for his actions towards Devin Haney and Devin Haney's dad leading up to the George Kambosos Teofimo fight. So that would sell, but Teofimo's got to look good in his next fight. We don't know how he's going to look. You know what I mean? Seriously, we seriously don't know how he's going to look. He might look okay, or he can come out the gate and sweep this dude under the rug and spark his ass out early and look like he's back. You know what I mean? And okay, now you have a little bit of more of a competitive juice flowing, and maybe you can make that fight happen. But I guess the question, what's up, G5? I guess my question then is, if all the pieces line up properly, right? If all the pieces line up properly, where fighters become available, will people actually fight Devin Haney? Will people avoid and duck Devin Haney? There's the link in the chat if anybody wants to jump in and leave their thoughts. That's another thing that we have to consider. That's another thing that we have to consider is if everything lines up and fighters become available, will they step up and fight Devin Haney, or is there a true situation right now currently where fighters at this level, the names that I've mentioned, Tank, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo, Lomachenko, do they want nothing to do with Devin Haney? Now, obviously, what's up, Razor? Obviously, Devin Haney can only do so much, right? But, in boxing, there is a thing called, I like to call it the walls closing in. The walls close in on your ass. So if Devin Haney goes in and rematches Kambosos, puts on a phenomenal performance once again, Teofimo goes in, he looks good, the walls start closing in very quickly, right? So that's how I see it. You know what I mean? And I think it's very, very possible that there is some ducking going on when it comes to Devin Haney. And I don't think it's necessarily because, people are scared of him, but they understand that his style is a style that is very difficult to dissect and to defeat. I mean, it just is what it is. That hit, not get hit style, as much as some people are annoyed with it and don't like it, or it's not a fan favorite, that is the essence of the sweet science. And fighters are smart enough to know that it's a headache to have to deal with it. What's up, K-Rod? What's on your mind?
Hey, how's it going? Honestly, man, I think Devin, he's just a nightmare for everybody, man. I think nobody really doesn't want any problems with him, and I think honestly, like, I think Gervonta, he has to fight somebody credible to keep himself relevant at 135, because I don't see why he would keep himself at 135 and have these little easy pick'em fights, and I don't see him succeeding well for the rest of his career, because nobody's not going to buy for that crap any much more longer. And I think Floyd Mayweather understands that, and I really hope Gervonta, he could just get away from Floyd, because I don't see Floyd being beneficial to him. But even if Gervonta, if he was naive enough to stay with Floyd Mayweather, he's just basically digging himself a hole for failure, because I think what Floyd's trying to do is he's trying to just basically act like Bob Arum, pretend like he wants all these fights for Tank, but then Gervonta is going to be lied to be fooled and manipulated to say, all right, well, you don't need these big fights. You could just basically pick up like a couple bums here and there, and then fight some decent, credible veteran name, and then just basically move on. And I think at that point in time, that's going to start haunting on Tank's career if he continues to go that route, because Gervonta is not making his notoriety and his reputation help any much longer. So, after Devin Haney, quote unquote, handles his business with Kambosos, if that rematch ever happens, then I think for the meantime, Gervonta needs to fight somebody credible in the division. And then, we'll see what happens, leading up to him and Devin. Because if he doesn't fight Devin after that, then I'm going to be calling bullshit, because, you shouldn't be staying in the division if you're not going after the big fish in your in your weight class. And if Gervonta's not going to do that, then fuck him,
Yeah, I think it's a fair assessment, a fair complaint. Actually, assessment is probably the best word to use. The simple fact that Tank just simply hasn't fought, like you said, the big fish. I mean, he just simply hasn't. And it's not a situation where, certain fighters haven't been available. It's simply Floyd Mayweather being strategic with Tank Davis's career. Now, I was just over on Blue Bloods channel, and he thinks that it's a genius idea that Floyd is doing what he's doing with Tank's career. He thinks that Floyd's genius, trying to somehow construct this Mayweather McGregor rematch and then put Tank in there with somebody and build it up and whatever. Which, I mean, if we get a Tank Davis Ryan Garcia fight, I don't really care how we get it. If that means we gotta like deal with Mayweather McGregor bullshit again, then I guess it is what it is. Like I will take whatever I can take to get that big fight, because when we say things like, Tank hasn't fought nobody, Tank needs to step it up. Like, it's not hating. It's not, I guess it is a type of criticism, but it's an honest and loving criticism. There's no lies told. I mean, the dude is not fighting anybody at the top of the weight class. It's as simple as that. Ryan Garcia himself is not doing it either. You got Devin Haney, who I believe wants to fight everybody. But, Teofimo, in my opinion, ducked Devin. Right? And so Devin Haney's busy trying to fight whoever he can fight just to be active. See, that's a difference. There's a difference between ducking, avoiding, whatever you want to call it, and ending up fighting fighters who are not up to your level simply because nobody else will fight you and you're just trying to fight to stay active. Y'all hear what I'm saying? There's a massive difference. So in my opinion, nobody can accuse Devin Haney of avoiding anybody. I haven't seen any proof of that whatsoever. And, I'm here waiting to see if anybody can prove me wrong. But I don't think it's going to happen. It's a stacked division. 135 is a very stacked division. 140 is also stacked, but it's going to become even more stacked, I think, in the next couple of years as fighters from 135 start moving up. And so it just gets to the point where, like, let's get these fights happening. Devin Haney, I did a live about this before where I made a comparison, not necessarily a comparison, but I guess an assessment of, can Devin Haney eclipse Floyd Mayweather's career? That's tough, right? But the only way he does it is that he starts getting these big fights now at 24, just like Floyd did when Floyd was in his mid-20s and he was getting big fights. He started to become a pay-per-view star before he was 30, and started becoming a real credible name. And Devin Haney will have that same type of attention, just like Floyd did, in regards to not having a fan-friendly style, right? I'm talking about casuals. So people will buy his fights just because they want to see him lose. They want to see somebody with that style get knocked out. That's just the way it is. And if I'm Devin, I embrace that. I embrace that role. And if it's a villain, then fuck it. It's the villain role. It is what it is. Embrace that role. You are who you are. Don't change for nobody, but embrace it wholeheartedly and help build your name by being this guy who, like, they can't touch me. They don't like my style because I don't engage and I don't, live up to this blood sport type of mentality. It is what it is, man. Like, come and beat me and play that role. You know what I mean? Like, if I was around Devin Haney, that's exactly what I would tell him. If I ever had a chance to interview him, then that's what I would tell him. What's up, Richard Stone? Hoodie Myro, what's good?
Yeah, go ahead, I was gonna add on top of that, like, not a lot of fighters really follow the sweet science to begin with anyway. So, the people that like it, like us, that's where Devin Haney has to be forced to play that role. Like i.e. any other fighter that has to come in, with that mindset of saying, look, I'm not trying to get beat up for 12 plus rounds or basically whatever, like everything that you get into in a actual fight, your life is on the line. So it's better to be defensively responsible and take, the least amount of damage. And then on top of that, you're also knowing how to perfect your craft as a pure boxer before you get into let the boxer punch your face.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. We got Demon in the building, man. Demon, what's on your mind, bro?
I just want to talk about, matter of fact, good afternoon, everybody. Nighttime, good evening, whatever. I just want to talk about my boy Haney, man. They're not going to fight him. So I don't see him clipsing a Floyd. I want him to. You know, he's just as good as Floyd. I see him as being the next Floyd. But ain't nobody going to fight him. And I don't think the Tank's been tested. I don't think Tank fight real competition. You know, like, I don't think Tank chin been tested yet. Like, how you know if Tank get hit in the chin, he ain't going to buckle? He ain't fighting nobody. You know what I'm saying? And people don't want to fight Dev. To be honest with you, how I'm starting to think right now, I'm starting to think Kambosos can beat Tank. Now don't make your face like that. Don't do that. But Kambosos fought better competition than Tank. He has. Hands down he has. Kambosos fought better competition. Now in this fight with T.O., don't T.O. still got some air on his lungs that he need to get rid of before he try to come fight Dev? He got some serious problems going on over there. All of the air on his lungs. He ate an egg sandwich. All that's going on with him. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm going to sit back in the chat for a second. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to let y'all finish cooking. But Tank ain't fought nobody, and I don't think his chin can hold up. I'm gone, y'all.
That's an interesting perspective. I've never really thought about Kambosos and Tank. But now that Demon just mentioned it, that's actually a fight that Floyd might make. He might make that fight. And, Floyd, he's the master of deception when it comes to promoting. Even if Kambosos loses the rematch against Devin, he'll still promote it. Well, he was undisputed once, right? And will people buy into it? People will probably buy it just because it's Tank Davis. It doesn't matter who he fights. We saw that against Rolly. Rolly kind of helped in the build-up, but, seriously, Rolly? Like, who the fuck did Rolly fight? Let's be real. So, yeah, it actually helps Kambosos not to fight Haney in the rematch because you're going to lose again, to then just see if you can slip through the back door and fight Tank. Because I don't think Tank's going to fight Teofimo. I don't think Tank's going to fight Lomachenko. Now, Kambosos, Mayweather might be thinking, we saw what Devin did to Kambosos. I think Tank is just as good as a boxer as Devin Haney is. Well, I'm seeing this is what Floyd is thinking. So Tank's got power, though. Devin ain't got no power. So Tank will knock out Kambosos. That's the process. So we might see that fight now that Demon has mentioned it. Now, Demon just jumped in here and he said, yo, I think Kambosos beats Haney. Tank. I think, I'm like, I don't know. Let's be real, though, Demon. Kambosos got dropped against Teofimo. So he can be hurt. So it's not like, huh?
He got hurt by Mickey Bay and he got hurt by Lee Selby. And then I believe he also got almost dropped by some other dude back in Australia, but I forgot his name.
He's been hurt several times. He's been on the canvas as well. So, again, it's like you have to refer back to Tank's power. Like, we can say whatever we want to say about his resume. He hasn't fought nobody. Is his chin really that good, et cetera, but let's just keep it real. Kambosos has been hurt and Tank's power is real. As much as we may want to not accept that or agree to that, I believe, at least me personally, that Tank's power is real, in my opinion. Money on My Mind says, you guys are comical. Tank will kill Kambosos. Oh, I hear you, Money on the Mind, bro. Like, the link is in the chat, bro. Feel free to let us know. But my man Demon came in here and said, hey, look, bro, basically, Tank hasn't proven himself. Kambosos has fought better competition. So based off of that, Kambosos has a chance to beat Tank. So money on my mind, you're free to come up in here and counter punch that. Demon back in here. What's good?
Money on my mind. Don't do that to yourself, brother. Go on and sit back. Go on and keep typing, because that's what you're good at. You don't want to come up in here. You coming up in here, I'm gonna have to go on and do you in real fast and go on and have you looking bad. But anyway, yeah, I know Kambosa's been hurt, but all those fights that Kambosa's been hurt, he won. You can't take that away from the man. The man was one belt short of being the undisputed champion. He beat the man that beat the man. Tank ain't beat nobody, man. I don't think Tank got a chin. Why you don't think Floyd want to put him in there with Dev? Because he already know Dev gonna outbox him. Now Kambosos comes with a little bit more power. Kambosos hit him with an overhand right. Night, Tank. Night, Mayweather promotion. Like, come on now, Devon. Come on now. Who has Tank fought on the level of George Kambosos? I'll wait.
No, I feel you on that. I'm not disputing that Kambosos has a better resume than Tank. But I'm saying that Tank, though, I believe his power is legit. I mean,
Tank is a midget. Tank is a midget that can hit. He's a midget that can hit somebody 135, 140 and drop him. Now, Kambosos being bigger. I think he can take it. And I think Kambosos can put him on his ass, because I think Teofimo is better than Tank. Tank ain't going to fight nobody, man. He's not. We all know this. Now stop me when I'm lying. Am I lying?
Well, my confidence is not very high. I will say that. It's not my confidence is not high in regards to Tank fighting anybody credible within the next couple of years at least. Floyd is protecting him at all costs. It's going to continue to put him in the ring with the likes of like Rolly Romero and these type of fighters. And that's sad. You know what I mean? Because for me, at least, Demon, is like, okay, all this hype about Tank. We got a lot of people in the chat. Yo, Tank will destroy Kambosos. Okay, like, I got you. But my whole thing is this, like, as a fan of boxing, and I hear all of the accolades that Tank gets, like, I want to see him fight somebody. I mean, damn. Like, when are we going to, like, say, all right, let's put all this glamour to the side for a moment. We're a little bit mesmerized and hypnotized about these knockouts that Tank has been getting. Let's keep it real. Like, when are we going to push and force, essentially, as fans, Floyd Mayweather to put this man in there with somebody that's credible? Like, let's see him in a dog fight. Let's see him get pressured. Let's see him fight somebody that has been there. Right? Rolly Romero has never been there. You know what I mean? Like, he came aggressive. Yeah, cool. But has he been at that level? Kambosos has. Kambosos been in the spotlight now twice. He's been in the spotlight twice now against Teofimo and then now Devin Haney. So he's been at that level. So you have a point, Demon. Like, okay, he's got at least we know that he's got the experience now to deal with the magnitude of the fight. And I think for Rolly, I think that was one of his biggest issues, was that he couldn't handle the pressure and it just overwhelmed him and he got caught. I mean, that's my opinion.
Could I also add on top of that?
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, you know, on a stylistic point of view, Tank's opponents have not really been that much of pure boxers. Like, you know, most of his opponents have basically stood in front of him where he's able to get his shots off. So I think whenever Tank is actually forced to box is when somebody's not afraid to actually take his shots and actually try to dog walk him. Kind of similar, well, I'll even probably bring up, you know, the Isaac Pitbull Cruz fight. You know, knowing that Tank, he wasn't able to use his other hand, he was still getting pressured by Cruz's, you know, body work and I guess at the inside fighting ability that he tried to use. But Gervonta, he was forced to actually box in that fight, in which he actually, you know, displayed it very well. But imagine if that was like a Frank Martin or somebody at a higher level where they knew how to use their power in boxing. Yeah. Like, you know, anybody. But I'm just saying, like, Gervonta, he's not being Like he's not being brought to that switch mode where he has to like actually think about it, like in the moment. So I think when that time comes, that's like that's when we'll start to see the actual skill tests, measurements based off of Gervonta's like ring IQ and everything else that he needs to prove.
Okay, I want to say this real fast. I understand what Floyd doing, and Floyd is doing an amazing job. He wants Tank to retire unscathed, unhurt, with a lot of money because a lot of boxers retire broke. So I get it. I see the blueprint from Floyd Mayweather. But that boy needs to fight somebody, man. He needs to fight somebody. If you put him in there with Shakur Stevenson kills him. Gary Russell Jr. kills him. Anybody that can box can kill him. Come on now. We all see it. And
No,
who
I don't
knows?
think Gary Russell beats him.
I think Gary Russell walks all over him, but this is just my opinion. It's not yours.
Gary Russell.
How do we know if his chin can hold up? You still ain't seen that. Let I'm sorry, my bad. Jorge Linares hit him like he hit Dev. You think Tank gonna hold up? Be honest.
That's a
Because
good
you ain't
point.
never seen his chin.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing Gervonta fight Jorge Linares or fight JoJo, because of the good thing like about those two, like opponents. If he can't get Devin next, is that if he could take a good shot from Jorge, then that'll speak a lot of volume. But JoJo, he's a good boxer himself, but
What if he don't?
but I'm
That's
just
also a good point.
What if he
yeah,
don't?
those are
What
good.
if his chin don't hold up?
I still want to see it.
Well,
I want to see it too, but what I'm going to ask you is, if Tank's chin can't hold up, then what?
Then that just shows
that's
that
a good point. But
was.
It's just
So,
no.
I want-
let Tony jump in here real quick. What's up, Tony? What's on your mind?
okay, so thank you, Divine, long-time listener, supporter of yours, first-time caller, or however you want to put it. But I think you guys are making some good points about Tank, but I think that it kind of reminds me a little bit of Wilder before he fought Ortiz. Everyone was saying, "Oh, when he gets in there with a real boxer or somebody that could really crack, we don't know how it will be." And then he got in there, he proved it. So I think a lot with Tank right now is, as we watch him, does he pass the eye test so far? And if you feel like he does pass the eye test, then yeah, I agree. We still want to see him in there with the big guys, but I still think he could probably hold his own. That's what I want to add.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point as far as like comparing it to Deontay, because that's very true. A lot of people thought that Ortiz was going to take care of Deontay. He was going to be that guy, right? Oh, if it's not Joshua or if it's not, it's going to be Ortiz. He's experienced. He hits hard, and then of course we saw what happened, right? Twice, as a matter of fact. So fair comparison. So Demon, what do you got to say about that?
Tank is not Deontay. That's just from when he's not Wilder at all. I'm sorry, Tank ain't that. Tank's a midget that got a little pop to him, that fought people that can't fight, that don't have no chin, and he ain't been tested yet. Deontay Wilder has been tested by the best. This man ain't even stepped in there with B+ fighters. You can't put him on that level. You can't do it.
Bro, no, I'm not comparing him to Deontay in the terms of skill. I'm saying that a lot of the same knocks that they're getting is the same. I think Devin Haney would beat Tank. Don't get it confused. But I think it's a lot of guys at the top of 135 that Tank can hold his own with, and he could beat. That's just, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that he's a top dog. I don't want to get that misconstrued.
I say he is the top dog. Fuck what they tell him.
Tell him to fight him then. Tell him to fight him.
So let me ask. Let me ask the panel. Let me go around the panel right quick. Let's do it like this. Let's start off like this. Does Tank Davis, and you just answer yes or no. All right, keep it simple. Does Tank Davis beat Devin Haney? Yes or no? K-Rod. K-Rod. K-Rod taking a leak. Demon. Does Tank Davis beat Devin Haney?
Fuck no.
Tony Brown.
Does Tank beat Devin Haney right now? Absolutely not, in my opinion.
What?
My dad is also in the car. He thinks that Tank wins, but I don't. I'm a fan of defensive abilities. I value that.
Okay, on to the next. Does George Kambosos, who's now current, he's still number one. He's still ranked number one by Marine Magazine. Does George Kambosos beat Tank Davis? K-Rod, are you back?
Yes, sir.
Does Kambosos beat Tank?
No.
Demon.
It's a 50-50 fight.
Tony Brown.
I'm not going to disrespect Tank like that. I think Tank will win, and I think to go even a little further, I think a focused Teofimo would have won the first fight. I feel like he overlooked him. But yeah, I don't think Kambosos can physically match up with Tank now.
All right, so we move along. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Does Tank Davis beat Lomachenko? K-Rod.
Yes.
Demon.
Yes.
Tony.
I'm sorry, Devon. What was the question?
Does Tank beat Lomachenko?
Man, with the that's a 50-50 fight to me. I don't know. I really like Lomachenko a lot, but I feel like he can't be vulnerable, so 50-50 for me.
Okay. Ryan Garcia. Does Tank Davis beat Ryan Garcia? K-Rod.
Yeah. Tank beats Ryan.
Demon.
50-50 fight.
Tony.
At 135, yes. At 140, I feel like it's closer. I agree with Demon. I feel like it's closer to a 50-50 fight at 140. Ryan looks really comfortable at 140.
Okay. So we just knocked out the top 5, according to Ream Magazine. I'm looking at the ratings right now. So the top 5. So we're a little bit split here and there. I didn't put my vote in, but I guess I will for the sake of it as I guess like a tiebreaker maybe. So George and Tank. Tank beats George, I think. Late stoppage. Good fight, but late stoppage. Teofimo and Tank. That could be a war right there. That can be a straight up war. Wow. That's a tough fight right there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go 50-50 there. I hate not to be able to give you guys a name, but I'm gonna go 50-50 with Teofimo and Tank. And I agree with Tony. I think one of the biggest reasons why Teofimo lost to George is he underestimated him. That was, to me, is very clear. He came out the gate like he's trying to knock his ass out in the first round. He had no respect for George, and George stood his ground. And then as the fight went on, and he was losing those middle rounds to George, after he getting knocked down, he tried to fight his way back, and he kind of did towards the end, made the fight interesting. But I just think that biggest reason why is he just said George ain't shit. He had his mind somewhere else, and that happens in boxing. Just like Mike Tyson was having orgies in Tokyo. That's why he lost to Buster Douglas. Facts. So it happens, right? And I agree with Tony. Like if you get Teofimo's mind right and get his dad to go sit his ass down somewhere and let his son be who he needs to be, I think he beats George.
Nothing wrong with a good orgy, though.
Definitely nothing wrong with it. And I'm sure Mike Tyson doesn't regret it. I'll take that loss after all those orgies. So it is what it is. But in regards to boxing, it happens, right? Teofimo's mind was somewhere else. And I know he said his esophagus blew up. He was choking on his own like lung fluid. He hurt his toe. He was going through some other shit with his kids. I mean, it's like, man, look, bro, you underestimated George. That's the bottom line. So based off of that, I think it's a 50-50 fight between him and Tank. Lomachenko and Tank. Yeah, I think Tank wins that. I think Tank wins that by just landing more power shots, punching in between Lomachenko's punches, but that could be very possibly like a split decision, razor close type fight. I don't see him stopping Lomachenko. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that. I think Lomachenko's a lot tougher than what people give him credit for. And then Ryan Garcia, Davis knocks out Garcia, period. That's not even a debate. I don't even have to think about that one. And if anybody's wondering why, well, he leaves his fucking chin up in the air. That's why. Ryan Garcia leaves his chin up in the air, and Tank has shown multiple times that he has no problem taking a punch to throw a better punch when your hands are where they need to be with chin up in the air. It happened to Rolly. It happened to Leo Santa Cruz. It happened to many other fighters. It happened to Mario Barrios. And he'll continue to do that against somebody like Ryan, who loads up with too many shots and gets too confident he'll get caught.
Hey, Devon, not to cut you off, but I will say this, though. Tank moved up to 140 and fought Barrios with no problem. But when Ryan asked him to move up to 140, I get that he's the one side, but I think he might have been a little bit more hesitant because maybe he does have a little bit of respect for Ryan. Maybe at the back of his mind, he probably never admitted, but maybe I feel like that's a little respect. Because, I mean, you were holding a regular belt at 140, but you won't fight Ryan at 140.
Yeah, because,
yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, Ryan. The thing about it is with Ryan is that I think he's going to be at 140. I think it's clear that he could possibly be struggling to continue to make 135. The dude is 5'10". He's a tall, big, lightweight. And so 140 makes sense. Now, Tank, like you said, he moved up to fight Barrios at 140. He can totally fight at 140. We know this. But for sure, like you look at Ryan, it's like when people get mad at me when I talk about Ryan, they say, "Oh man, you hating on Ryan." I say, I'm not hating on him. I think the dude is skilled. I mean, he's not absent skill, but it's just styles make fights, and Tank's just gonna catch him. He's gonna catch him in between the punches, man. I don't. For me, it doesn't matter. 135 or 140, in my opinion. Now he may put on a better showing than Mario, and Mario didn't. By the way, Mario didn't do a bad showing.
I agree.
He had his moments in the fight. He made it compelling, and he was a lot bigger than Tank. I mean, visibly a lot bigger than Tank. But I think with that being said, Ryan's a bit more well-rounded in comparison to Mario Barrios, and I think he'll make it even more interesting than what Mario did. But I still think he gets caught, man. I will be shocked. I will be shocked if Ryan doesn't get caught with something late. It's just that I just see that same discrepancy over and over again in almost every single fight that he has. And the reason why he hasn't fixed it is because, well, he hasn't been truly exposed to it. He's been knocked down or whatever, but maybe he thinks, oh, that was just a flash knockdown. He gets up and continues to do the same shit. And it's going to take him probably to get knocked out to be like, wow, okay, I need to fix this. I look at Ryan, I see a lot of ego. I see a lot of pride. I see a lot of entitlement. And, it's just his day's coming to get humbled. And rather that is against Tank or somebody else, I think that day is coming. And that's just my opinion about Ryan Garcia.
Very thorough. I like it.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, we went down the list as far as Tank. Now, I get what Demon is saying. I like the resume. If you're sitting there arguing for Tank based off of resume, I'm sorry, but there's not much substance there. Now, if you say, well, Devon, like Tony said, if we just base it off of the eye test on what we see so far on what Tank can do, and if that's your basis, then okay, we can have a conversation. And that's why I threw out these names on who you think Tank can beat and not beat. But every single name that I mentioned, rather it's George, Teofimo, Lomachenko, Ryan Garcia at 135. Those are names that he needs to fight ASAP. Period. Now, another thing is, and I can throw this out to you guys too, is there's been rumors that he might move back up into 140 and fight Josh Taylor and try to take those straps up there. Because he's with Floyd. Floyd's all about getting these straps and putting him up against guys that favors him stylistically. Does he beat Josh Taylor? Let's throw that out there. K-Rod, does Tank Davis beat Josh Taylor?
Yeah, definitely. I think Gervonta sleeps him. I don't think Josh Taylor he he can comfortably make the weight properly. But I don't think on his best night, Gervonta would ever have any problems against him. I think Taylor, he shows a lot of flaws in which not a lot of southpaws really go through against other southpaws. But in the rarity of his case, he's very how should I say? He's very defensively irresponsible. Facing other southpaws. And I think Gervonta's skill set will just break him late game, where the fight itself isn't going to be competitive when Gervonta finds a pathing to hurt him. And I think Taylor, he's very weak to the body. I can easily see that out of him. I don't think Josh Taylor is going to handle the pressure from Gervonta. I think Gervonta, all he needs to do is just force Taylor to his weak side, and then just break him down to the body and force him to his back foot, where Taylor, he can't make adjustments. And Tank will basically just do the same thing like it does to any other opponent that he tries to knock out. But he's just going to take his time and just basically let the knockout come to him.
Demon?
Man, this is how I feel about that one. I really feel Josh Taylor boxed the ears off of Tank Davis. Tank Davis is a midget. And that man, Josh Taylor, is big. That's a big dude right there. And I think that he boxes the ears off of Tank Davis. Tank Davis is like, let me sum this up about Tank Davis if we got a little minute. Tank Davis is like early Mike Tyson. Yeah, he looked good. The eye test was good. But what you didn't look at was he was fighting tomato cans. And when he got in there with real fighters, some real champions, some real hearts, it was bye-bye. He getting knocked out. He biting dudes' ears. Lennox boxing the ears off of him. People beating him. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at when he got in there with Evander Holyfield, how Evander was just whooping Tyson. And that's how it is when a real fighter gets in there with Tank. He's going to whoop Tank. Tank is not good. And we still didn't talk about if his chin can hold up.
I disagree with that, because Gervonta is nowhere near like a Mike Tyson per se, but to a mindset point of view, Gervonta is way better than Tyson. If Tyson was focused, he would be on that level. But
I mean, we just don't
Mike
know.
Tyson,
Not to cut you off, K-Rod, but what we just don't know Tyson and how he would be if he didn't go to prison and coming back. And we have to understand, like, he fought Lennox when he's really not in his prime anymore, coming out of prison. Like, to make a fair assessment, and all credit to Lennox Lewis. I mean, he did what he had to do. But let's say Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, in 1994, 1995.
Or 1992.
I got to say something about that. Let me tell you, as a dude that been there before, prison preserves you. Prison preserves your mind, your body, your everything. Prison preserves you. I don't know what y'all think about prison or whatever, but it ain't like the movies. It preserves you. You getting good sleep. You can work out. You do everything you need to do in prison, and you're confined to do nothing but work out. We're not giving Tyson excuses. Oh, he just got out of prison. B-Hop came out of jail and was whooping shit. He came out of prison whooping shit. So there's no excuse. So what's the excuse when he fought Evander? Then what happened? I want to hear the excuse.
Yeah, but Mike Tyson wasn't in his prime. But that's not the biggest takeaway from it. Like,
prison heals all those wounds that you have. Believe it or not, if you look at a person that gets out of prison, they're fit, they're in shape, they look younger, they have a prison glow to them. I'm not glorifying prison. I'm just telling you, all those nicks and necks that Tyson had, they were gone by the time he got out of prison. He had time to work on the craft. What's going on when he fought Evander?
I mean, I think it's debatable. I mean, I think prison affects everybody a little bit differently. I've been locked up as well. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, you're right. You do eat. You get your 3 meals a day. You got nothing to do but fucking sleep and work out. So yeah, that's true. But I tell you what, like, mentally, I was fucked up personally. Can't see my kids, or my kid at the time. Couldn't see my girl at the time. You know what I mean? And people always you always looking over your shoulder all the fucking time. You're paranoid as fuck. Every time you go into the lunch hall to eat, you know, somebody gonna fucking shank you. It's crazy, bro. Like, you're mentally stressed the fuck out. Now, maybe Mike didn't have to go through that. I don't know, because, you know, he's a celebrity status. Maybe they kept an eye on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when he came out of prison, the dude he was fucking built. Like, you can tell he put on a lot of muscle. He looked strong and shit like that. But we don't know. To me, it wasn't his physicality that was affected by prison. It was his mental. Like, you got to understand, like, why did he go to prison? He went to prison because he was accused of rape, bro.
Yeah.
Now, rather he did it or not, like, that shit sits heavy on your mind the whole time you're in there. He had kids at that time. He couldn't see his kids. What does his kids think about him now? Is daddy a rapist? Like, that shit gotta fuck with you. So when he came out, and look at the press conference between him and Lennox, like, he was saying all kinds of crazy shit. Like, I'll fuck you till you love me, and all this other crazy shit. Like, like, this dude, like, he wasn't the same mentally. Like, he had never been like that before prison.
I think that was.
He was always kind of like, you know, he always had a little bit of a New York type of, you know, vibe to him. You know, he come from the streets and shit like that. But when he came out of prison, he was talking about all kinds of, I'll fuck you in the ass, I'll make you my bitch, I'll like crazy dark shit. He got like crazy tattoos. He became a Muslim. Like, he mentally, he went to a different place.
Okay,
and I don't think you can argue that.
Okay, but in the beginning, did they have a mic in his face? Did his handlers let him talk before that? Like, really let him express himself? That was the Mike Tyson that you met back then. They was shielding the world from that. Now, no, I don't believe he raped nobody. I don't put that on nobody. But I know once you're settled into prison as a man that been sat down for 3 years, once you sit down and you're in there, your mind is adapted to there. Like you're in there. You're not worried about the outside world. You're not worried about that. You're just worried about doing your time. What happened was he got out and he faced a boxer, a pure boxer, the sweet science, Evander, the real deal Holyfield, and he got his ass beat. And that's the same thing that's going to happen to Tank Davis if he gets in there with Dev. That's how I feel.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, if you want to use Evander as a talking point, like, I feel you. Evander Holyfield he doesn't get the credit he deserves, in my opinion. The dude was a hell of, he was a hell of a cruiserweight. He was a hell of a heavyweight. He fought fucking everybody.
True division, disputed.
And you know, he was in shape. He was strong. He had boxing ability. He had determination. And yeah, Mike Tyson ran into a fucking like a real dude. Like, he's a real one. You know what I'm saying? But Lennox, though, I mean, Mike Tyson was 35. You know, he clearly wasn't the same fighter. I mean, it's very, very clear. Very clear. If you go back and watch that fight, just clearly not the same. Now, Holyfield, he was 30. He was 30 years old when he fought Holyfield. So definitely still in his prime. In the first fight, you know, like, I mean, it was basically the best versus the best. It was a fight that a lot of people were waiting to see for years. We finally got it. And, you know, Evander frustrated him. You know what I mean? And so that's fine. But the Lennox one, nah. And I love Lennox. I love Lennox Lewis. I think he's one of the best to ever do it, in my opinion. But nah, I can't ride with that. 2002 Mike Tyson, nah, can't do it. But I hear you. I think my phone is tripping.
Let me go out and come back in. My phone's tripping.
Oh, good. Yeah. So, yeah, the comparison between Tank, Mike, you know, him and looking at Mike Tyson and Tank, I would say I somewhat agree with it, not entirely. Where I do agree is that, yeah, Tank hasn't been tested. There might be a situation where he does face off against somebody like Devin and get outboxed, like Evander Holyfield outworked and outboxed Mike Tyson. He might run into even a Lomachenko. Lomachenko might fucking outbox his ass as well, you know. And as much as Lomachenko irritates me in regards to him kind of being like this golden child at lightweight. He seemingly continues to get these big fights, even though he has 2 losses on his fucking resume. He continues to be like, you know what I'm saying, like getting all this glamour and shine. That part irritates me, but the dude is skilled. I mean, at the end of the day, Lomachenko's skilled. He's a very tough fighter to beat. So yeah, you're right. Like he might run into someone like Lomachenko or a Devin Haney who has good boxing skills that will just square him up, put him behind the jab, and he can't do shit about it. And he's just going to get picked apart. And every time he tries to get off, he's going to get tied up. A guy like Lomachenko and Devin Haney, they're going to use angles. They're going to work behind the jab. They're going to use their well, for Devin, he's going to use his length. For Lomachenko, he's going to use his duck in and out ability, turning him. And Tank will be forced to box Lomachenko. It's not going to be a Mario Barrios or a Leo Santa Cruz where they just stand in front of him. Lomachenko will be bouncing around, going to the body, and forcing Tank Davis. And we're going to see what Tank Davis's real boxing ability is. It's not going to be reliant purely on power. When he fought Mario Barrios, Leo Santa Cruz, and Rolly Romero, it was about power. It's like, you know, he didn't need to box. He just needed to time and catch them with a big shot, and that's what happened. That won't work against Lomachenko, in my opinion. He's going to have to show his boxing skill, just like he'll have to show his boxing skill against Devin Haney. And that's just the way I feel about it.
I seen one guy with respectable power actually box. I seen Deontay Wilder when he fought Bermain Stefan, that first fight, and he just boxed beautifully. And they didn't think that he had that in him. Now, you take a guy like Wilder, he wants to fight everybody, he wants to fight the best. Then you take another power puncher like Tank. I haven't seen Tank get in a situation where power nullifies. You know what I'm saying? Where that power doesn't add up. Yeah, he boxed Pitbull Cruz, but Pitbull Cruz is a baby midget. He's a child. He's the size of a child. So you can't add that up. And I think actually Pitbull outboxed him, just from my eyes. So I don't feel like Tank is just that. And we still haven't talked about, can his chin hold up? He ain't been tested yet. You know, if he get hit, what he gonna do? Because somebody can hit Tank and he RIP. You know what I'm saying?
Do you think Devin Haney can knock out Tank?
Ah, shit, man. I don't know.
Because that's what we're really talking about right here. That's what we're really talking about.
Okay, let me say this: can anyone get hit with a lucky punch?
Of course.
Yeah.
So when you go in the boxing ring, you earn the risk of getting knocked out. So anybody can get knocked out. There's a possibility that Devin Haney can knock out Tank Davis. There is a possibility. We're not going to leave that out. So it can happen.
I don't think so. I mean, if he can't stop Kambosos or even knock him down, then he ain't knocking down or knocking out Tank. Now he can outbox him. He can outbox him. He can win 12 rounds. That's for me. That's not debatable. I think I would put big money on it. I think, I would put big money on it. I would bet money Haney by decision. But as far as knocking him out, so once again, if we do get the Haney Davis fight, once again, Tank Davis' chin is not tested. Not against Devin Haney. It's not. You got to put him in there against Teofimo.
I mean, have we ever seen Tank get hit? Have we ever seen him get hit?
Yeah. He got hit against Rolly. Rolly hit him clean.
Yeah, Rolly hit him mad flush.
Yeah.
Rolly hit him clean. Yeah. Cruz, I wouldn't say Cruz hit him like flush, but Cruz beat him up a little bit. Cruz was on top of him. He was putting in work. Barrios put in some nice body work. Nice jab. Mm-hmm. You know, has he been lined up and timed perfectly with like a beautiful right hand down the pipe? Maybe not. But, I mean, I don't think anybody can sit up here and be like Devin's one of the biggest punchers in the division. I mean,
can't say that.
You know, like it is what it is. Floyd Mayweather, he wasn't either. But by the time he left 140, nobody even thought that he would knock anybody out. Like, I mean, he knocked out Ricky Hatton, and that was about it.
Oh no, he knocked out the what's the boy name for the WBC title? at 47.
Oh, Victor Ortiz.
Well, Victor Ortiz, but come on. I mean, I'm not knocking Floyd for that, but I'm saying like he wasn't in an exchange or lined something up like in a straight up like fight and knocked him down. I mean, Victor Ortiz made a mistake by not protecting himself, and I to this day, by the way, will fucking like die with this. I'll take this shit to my grave. Victor Ortiz quit.
Yeah, he quit.
I just seen Earl Spence.
He got hit with the 2-piece, and he said, "All right, man, I can't beat this dude." He quit.
Yeah, but I just seen Earl Spence get hit like that too, and then he walked Ugas down.
Yeah.
So, all I'm saying is this: if I need to see Tank get hit in that chin, I need to see how he gonna hold up. I need to see how his legs is gonna hold up. I need to see.
No, I feel you, but it has to be someone like Teofimo.
But we just agreed that it can be anybody on any given night. Somebody can get knocked out.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, like I'm saying though, if Haney's not the one to really test it, Haney will test him boxing wise,
right?
But Haney's not gonna like Haney couldn't really hurt Kambosos, and he was beating Kambosos' ass, but he didn't really hurt him. Kambosos wasn't hurt. Kambosos was just getting his ass beat. So who has a better chin, Kambosos or Tank? I mean, it's debatable. You can say, oh, well, Tank hasn't fought any big punchers, but Kambosos has. That's fair. But when Kambosos fought big punchers, he got knocked down. He got up, sure. But Tank might get knocked down and get back up too. We don't know. We don't know. It's like you're basically making your claim that if he gets touched by a big puncher, he's going to sleep. That's basically what you're saying, right?
No, it's that we don't know if he's going to go to sleep or not.
Sure, exactly. We don't know.
We don't know. Now, you put him in there with a Regis. You put that man up there with Regis at 140. You don't think Regis knocks him out?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, wow. I believe so. You put him up there with the can't even remember the 140 champion, Josh Taylor. You don't think Taylor can knock Tank out?
No.
I don't. I think it'll be a good fight just because Josh. I mean, he's a big guy at 140.
Very big.
He's got some talent. He'll make it tough for Tank. But I mean, I've got to be honest with you. Every time someone mentions Josh Taylor, I go right back to the Catterall fight. That shit was disappointing as fuck.
Yeah,
Josh was.
I mean, everybody can have an off night.
Of course, but it's like Jack. But it's like he should have dominated that fight.
Yeah, he should have beat the crap out of him.
He should have beat his ass, and all that shit they were talking, and all that shit that Jack was talking to. Like, you definitely should have beat his ass, and you let Jack go in there. You let him talk shit, go in there, and then remember they're like he grabbed Jack's throat and shit during the face off. But anyway, like that was disappointing. He's got to rectify that. That's my point.
Maybe we
just like any fighter. If you have an off night, like when Floyd fought Maidana the first time, he snuck by. He got a victory. I thought he won, but it wasn't a domination, and Floyd knew that. So what did Floyd do? He came back, rematched him, and he beat his ass. So that's what Josh has to do. Josh has to rectify that Jack Catterall problem before I even give him any type of credit, because based off of that performance, because you're only as good as your last performance, in my opinion.
Right.
So you can go back 10 fights, but 10 fights ago, he knocked this dude out. So that don't mean shit. Right now, what we saw is he got outworked by a lesser fighter. And a lot of people thought he lost the fight.
But
a lot of people thought it was a robbery.
How do we know that Jack Catterall is a lesser fighter? We're underestimating him. We are doing that. When he got in the ring, it was those two men in the ring, and it didn't seem like he can hold up to Jack Catterall. And that's just me being honest.
Jack Catterall is ranked like 4 or 5, and Josh Taylor is a fucking undisputed champion, bro. So of course he's not on the same level.
Okay. Wait. Okay, let me ask you this now, Divine. Hold on now. Now you can fight 100 dudes, and that one dude come and beat you that wasn't ranked. Then what? Because anybody can beat anybody any given Sunday.
Yes. That's like saying that. That's like saying Boots can beat Earl Spence. Of course he can. But
I gotta see
where did the odds point? The odds still point at Earl Spence.
Correct.
Because he's a champ, and he has proven himself more than what Boots has.
Okay, we all thought that Tyson was going to beat Buster, and he didn't.
Well, he was having orgies, so.
So,
Okay,
we're gonna let that
I
go.
mean, when he fought Buster Douglas, I was like, I was like 5 or 6 years old. I didn't know what a fucking orgy was. But if I was older and somebody mentioned to me, "Hey, yo, Mike Tyson's out there in Tokyo, busting down these Japanese girls one by one," I'm gonna say, yeah, he's probably gonna lose. He's probably gonna lose. And let's not forget, Buster Douglas lost his mom too. So
yeah,
before that fight.
I mean, I totally understand that.
So yeah, shit happens. Shit happens in boxing. Absolutely. Any at basically the top 10. I mean, you can argue top 15 if you wanted to, but let's just say top 10 for argument's sake. Anybody in the top 10 at this level can beat anybody at any given night.
Right.
It's only the select few of fighters who just built that way, like a Floyd Mayweather or Andre Ward or these type of guys who, like Andre Ward, he fought everybody that was available to him and at 168, right? He fought everybody. He fought in the fucking Super 6 and won it.
Right.
So it's like, and nobody can beat him. And it is what it is, right? So sometimes you get these type of fighters, and that's why we want somebody like Tank and we want somebody like Devin Haney to be like, oh, is he also that type of dude? Like, it doesn't matter who you throw at him. You throw a puncher at him, he beats him. You throw a brawler, he beats him. You throw another technical fighter, boxer, puncher at him, he beats him. Like, that's what we want to see, and that's the whole point of this conversation. And we got 3 fighters that we're talking about tonight: Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia, and Tank Davis, all undefeated.
Right.
How the fuck are they not fighting each other?
Let's blame it on the business of boxing. They're scared of him.
Somebody, okay, let's put it this way. Those 3 names that I just mentioned: Tank, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney. Who do you think boxers are afraid of the most? Like, either it's one another or other people in the top 5. Like, who's the most feared in regards to stepping in the ring with? I'm not talking about fear like, oh, I might get knocked out. Simply fear as in stepping in the ring and going face to face and fighting a boxing match with a person. Who is the most avoided fighter of those 3 names? Ryan, Tank, or Haney?
Devin Haney. Easy.
K-Rod.
Devin.
And I agree with you. I agree with you both that Haney is the most avoided fighter at 135, and you can even say 140. You can throw 140 in there if you want to, just because Tank has fought at 140 before. Ryan Garcia is talking about fighting at 140, and Devin Haney more than likely eventually will go to 140 himself. So you can throw that in there, and I think he's avoided because when you go up against, it's like this. If you go up against Teofimo, you literally, because George laid the blueprint, you stand up to him. You stand your ground to him. You don't get bullied. You don't get scared. And you fight, basically, you fight fire with fire, or you outbox him. Because let's also remember this. Lomachenko lost the fight against Teofimo because he started way too slow. But towards the end of that fight, Lomachenko got into a groove and started beating Teofimo. And that's why a lot of people want to see that rematch, because a lot of people think that Lomachenko will pick up where he left off and outbox Teofimo, especially now that Kambosos has beat him. So when you fight somebody like Teofimo, it's like you got to prepare for a guy who's going to try to knock your fucking head off. So you know what you're getting. But with Devin, you got to bring your hard hat. You got to bring your lunch pail. You got to bring your picnic blanket. You got to prepare for a lot of shit when you're fighting with Devin, because you don't know. You got to get past his jab. You got to get past his counter right hand. You got to get past his body work. You got to get past his lateral movement, his pivots. He's going to turn you. He's going to tie you up, which a lot of people hate, but that's part of boxing. He's going to do a lot of different shit. So you got to do a lot of film study, a lot of work, a lot of effort to prepare for a guy like Devin Haney, and that is facts. Now, when it comes to Tank Davis and preparing for a fight against him, you know that he has the ability to slip underneath punches and catch you with some shit that you don't see. And he can hurt you, possibly knock you out. So he has that fear factor there. But if you're Devin Haney, you ain't worried about that shit. You ain't worried about it. You ain't worried about it if you're Devin Haney. And to be honest with you, I don't think you're worried about it if you're Lomachenko either, in my opinion.
Oh.
You go out there and you box the man. You turn the man. You get behind your jab. You make him swing and miss. And don't let him get comfortable. Tank Davis sets his feet. He's dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Against bums.
Yeah. And so this is boxing, right? We're comparing apples and oranges when we say, oh, well, Mario Barrios, he was pretty big and strong. That don't mean shit in boxing. Right? The dude's standing right in front of his ass. All Tank Davis had to do is time, lean down, loop a left hand over the top, boom. Just like he did against Rolly. Do you think that Lomachenko and Devin Haney is going to allow that shit to happen? I mean, come on.
It would never happen.
And so I haven't seen in the chat so far tonight anybody saying in here that they think that that Tank can beat Haney. I see a lot of people supporting Tank. They like Tank. They think Tank is great. But I will continue to wait for anybody to come in here and explain to me on why they think Tank will beat Devin Haney. I will wait for that explanation.
My thing is this, Divine. How do you get credit for beating C and B fighters? You praise this man for beating lower competition, but then you scold Wilder for the beginning of his career and everybody else. But this man is still fighting nobody, and everybody loves this dude. But when you get a dude that want to fight the best, he's boring. He's this, he's that. If you want to spend your money on watching this little bitty man beat on bums, then that's on you. But don't call him a great. He will not go into the Boxing Hall of Fame. He won't be nothing. He's nothing until he fights somebody. You're nothing until your last fight, and he ain't even started yet to me. Fight somebody.
Yeah, Gervonta is like Terrence Crawford 2.0. Same thing.
At least Crawford fighting old fighters. At least he's fighting some champions, some old ones. He's fighting them. Tank has not fought anybody. He don't want to fight nobody. He want to sit back. He want to beat up on bums. He want to collect the check. That's your hustle. Okay, cool. I respect everybody's hustle, but you won't hustle my dollars out of my pocket.
You about to piss the Bud fans off, K-Rod. Don't do it.
Man, fuck them.
Don't do it.
Bro, to any of you idiots from Omaha, Nebraska, I dare you to come up to me in person because I will beat the living fuck out of all of you. Seriously. I don't like y'all. You guys are fucking, disrespectful pieces of shit. But to all the Terrence Crawford fans that are educated and respectful, I respect you because, to some of them that actually do care, about Crawford's, career, I respect that. But to all the Bud Dick Riders, especially coming out of that, uneducated mental, state of mind, I can't, respect those type of people. These are the people that will say Terrence Crawford is pound for pound number one. But if you say anything bad about Terrence Crawford, they have to send death threats out to you because you're simply discrediting Terrence Crawford's accomplishments when clearly he has never fought the highest level competition and he has never proved himself to be pound for pound number one. You claim, Crawford to be this good, but yet he's not putting in all that hard work compared to Errol Spence. Nah, bro. I can't, get behind that. And Terrence Crawford is just showing himself time and time again that he's just as dumb as his own fucking fans. But that's it.
Well, that's definitely going to be the next live stream. So y'all buckle your seatbelts.
Yeah, let me say something real fast. K-Rod, you violent, man. You need some counseling or something, man. You need a hug.
No. It's just that I personally don't like Terrence Crawford dick riders, but to anybody else out of the regular, normal, debatable person that likes to have a good conversation, I'm fine with that. But I don't like it when people go super overboard where they have to be super vigilant and aggressive to you where, anything that you say that triggers them mentally to that level, they have to get pissed off at you, like as if they want to fight you, like like I just don't like those type of people. Like people people like yourself are perfect, examples of people that are able to have a good, friendly, peaceful, and educational level discussion. But when you get it, when you push it to the level of sending out death threats to people and trying to fight them over simply just a person that doesn't care about your feelings for them, it's like,
you got death threats.
yeah, I've been given death threats by Terrence Crawford, Dick Rider fans. It's just fucking sad, man. Like I don't say anything but just criticize Terrence Crawford, but out of all the stupid Bud fans that I've been talking with, they always send death threats out to you for some weird reason. So,
well, like I said, save it for the panel, K-Rod. That's the next live stream, and I'm trying to get some Bud supporters in here because I got plenty of Spence supporters, but I want to make it interesting, and I want to hear people state their case in regards to Bud. And we're gonna make it simple. We're not gonna talk. We've already spoken enough about if the fight's gonna happen, why it's not. Fuck all that. We're just gonna play pretend like we used to do when we were little kids and shit. And we used to do like little fantasy matchups when we were kids. Wolverine versus Superman, that type of shit. And we're just gonna say who wins and why. And we're gonna hash it out. And we're gonna see who wins the debate. And I'm gonna probably get 3 Spence people up here and hopefully 3 Bud people up here, and it's gonna get lit. And hey, the dick riders can stay in the comment section. Let's put it that way. If you come up on the panel and you got no substance, then you ain't gonna be on the panel no more. Let's just put it that way. I need to hear substance. I need to hear the people want to hear a debate. All right, there's a lot of undecided people out there. There are people that like both fighters. Right? There's a lot of people that want to hear our thoughts on why we think either Spence or Bud is going to win the fight. So that's the objective. And so y'all stay tuned for that. I got a lot of messages to send out and orchestrate it and construct it. And it's going to get lit. I'm sure K-Rod will be the first one on the ballot to be in there having the discussion. But hey, you never know, K-Rod. The guy that came in here last night, he could be a Bud fan.
Yeah, man, he's a fucking retard, bro. Like he was just so fucking retarded, man. Like I was like, dude, I know that you don't box in real life, man. Like you've never been to fights, you never been around gyms. Like you can easily tell when someone doesn't know what they're talking about by simply just listening to them.
Yeah. It was weird because he had a weird ass name that I couldn't pronounce, and I was like, what do you want me to call you? And he was like, call me Big Daddy. I was like, nah, we ain't doing that,
bro. He's fucking gay, man. He's a fucking gay virgin piece of shit, edgelord. Like an 18-year-old bitch.
I was like, we ain't doing none of that here. We ain't talking like that out here. I don't know what you youngins be doing out here, but we ain't doing that.
Dude, I was way more fucking mature than that piece of shit, man.
Yeah, but it's you put somebody like Bud Crawford in the title, or you put Jake Paul in the title, or you put certain names in the title of your lives, man, you're gonna get those type of people, and they take the shit personally. The whole point of the trolls is showing their booty on the camera and shit like that. All that is because that's Jake Paul's people. That's Jake Paul's people right there.
Yeah, Jake Paul has fans.
Wow, right there. That was wild, right there.
Like yeah, like got your hat type shit. Like, oh, this is funny, this is cool. Let me show my ass on camera.
Oh yeah, yeah, Divine. Like I was gonna ask you, have you been to any boxing fights or?
Yeah, like in the States. I mean, yeah, I've been to a lot of Muay Thai fights, obviously, because I'm out in Thailand. Yeah. Nice. But as far as boxing matches, I went to a few when I was younger. My dad took me to a couple, but no like super big fights. Nothing like that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that's on my bucket list that I want to do. If Deontay Wilder comes back, I like nothing's stopping me. I gotta watch him fight live at least once.
I want to see Deontay Wilder fight in person, but I've been to 3 boxing fights. I don't know if I told you, but the very first fight that I went to, that was at the Turning Stone Casino back in January of this past year, or this current year. That was on the Joe Smith Jr. Steve Geffrey card. That was a pretty decent venue. The second one was, obviously, on my birthday for the Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor fight.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was super like electric. I ran into a lot of nice people there. The very and then this recently I was at the Edgar Berlanga fight, at the Madison Square Garden. I actually saw Devin Haney there at the fight. I saw him and his father talking to Mark Kriegel and Bernardo Osuna. I think they were doing like their little ESPN type of shit. And then I saw Miguel Cotto. Surprisingly, Amanda Serrano, she was there at the fight, but I couldn't find her. Yeah, like I don't like the Hulu Theater. The Hulu Theater is like a really small ass venue. But
yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I mean, if I lived in the States, man, most of my adult life I've lived abroad, and that's kind of like set me back in regards to being able to expand my channel and my brand because I'm out here. But if I was out in the States and I went to these fights and interviewed these fighters, yeah, I mean, I'd probably, be a big channel out here, considering all the years that I put in. But would I trade that for the life that I've lived out here? Probably not. It's just one of those things. It crosses my mind sometimes, like, oh damn, like if I lived out there for 4 or 5 years, I can accomplish X, Y, and Z. But the problem is, it's not that simple, right? It's just moving back to the States. You have some of these perks, but you gotta deal with a lot of fucking bullshit too. And I just can't. I can't deal with it. I'll get locked up. I'll go to prison probably. I just can't deal with these type of people, man. Like the dudes that show up in my live streams, I run into those people in real life, bro. I'm getting arrested. Like it's just I got to stay away from those people. And it is what it is, So, but hopefully, like I said, Wilder announces his fight. It'll probably give me enough time to plan to come back and watch that fight live. And I'll try to run into whoever I can run into when I'm there. And yeah, I mean, even something like I know the LDBC's having a get together here. What is it, like next weekend or something like that, or this weekend in Texas? LDBC, they're doing like a get together. I heard.
Oh, look, I'm not too sure about that.
Yeah, they gonna do a meet and greet in Texas.
Yeah, like a meet and greet in Texas. I was invited to it, but once again, I'm probably not going to be able to make it. It's shit like that I miss out on. But at the end of the day, you got to weigh your pros and cons, right? That's life. Can't do everything unless you're fucking rich. I could just jump on a private plane and go back and forth. So other than that, you got to make decisions in life. So it is what it is, man. I see the super chat in here by Maddie, man. I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for the support out here. It was a topic that I thought that would be a little bit more lit, but I guess it's Monday night, so people are probably tired from work, hitting the sack, getting ready for the next day. But I guess last night was Sunday, right? So everybody was online talking about the Jake Paul shit, so it got lit. Yeah, Platt Boy said August 6th. Okay, yeah, so yeah, this upcoming weekend they have the meet and greet.
I got something.
Yeah, Virgil's fighting this weekend.
I got something to say. I know this is completely off the scale, but I want to bring up AJ. I think AJ go in there and knock this boy out in 6, man. I really believe AJ come in here and knock this boy out in 6 or 7. I think the first time they fought, I feel like it was a fluke. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking nothing. I'm not taking nothing from can't remember his name.
Usyk.
Yeah, Alexander Usyk. Yeah, I can't take nothing off his. I can't take nothing from him. But I really think AJ goes in here and puts on his big boy pants and go put this boy in the dirt by 6 or 7.
Damn.
Well,
y'all hear it.
That boy ain't been hit like AJ can crack. Like AJ can crack. He just needs to. I think sometimes I just feel like he needs to get out his own way. You know what I'm saying? Like some people just be in their own way. Like you a big dude, like go in here and bully this dude. Like you got 3 to 4 inches on this dude, and you're more muscular than this dude. You know what I'm saying? Go in here, put this boy in the dirt, Get your belt back, man, and stand proud. Like, because it was a good fight. It was a good fight. I watched it. It was a good fight. It was a back and forth. It was a good fight to me. But this time, I really think AJ.
It don't really matter to me. I mean, I predicted Usyk to win by decision again. But to be honest with you, it doesn't matter who wins, because if Deontay is truly coming back, he might be waiting to see who wins that fight. And I believe that if you're right, Demon, and Anthony Joshua wins the fight, I think Deontay calls him out.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think that's what Deontay may be waiting for. He's just chilling right now. Yeah, and he's waiting because that fight's just right around the corner, right?
Right.
And we already know that Deontay has called out Joshua before, and the fight never happened. So there might be a part of Deontay that wants Anthony Joshua to win.
Well, for me, Wilder knocks Joshua out in 3. Period. Wilder gets him out of there. Wilder's the best fighter to me, period. Evander's the best fighter I've ever seen in my life. And Floyd is second to that. But I really feel like AJ, this time around, I really feel AJ's going to go in there and just do his thing. You know what I'm saying? All the cameras, everything is on him. He know we talking bad about him. He got to come in here and go do that with this boy.
The thing is, Demon, though, like, I hear what you're saying. Like, I'm not disputing the fact that AJ, like, can't crack. I believe he can crack. I mean, he's a big heavyweight. He's a strong heavyweight. He's got power. But you got to go back and watch that first fight. Watch it carefully and watch it muted. Don't listen to the commentary. Watch it and break it down. There were moments where AJ tried. He tried to bully and use his size. But one thing that bothered him a lot was that southpaw position and that constant jab in his face. And Usyk right hooking in the southpaw position, right hooking off of his jab and just continuing to turn Joshua, right? At the end of the day, Usyk is a cruiserweight. He's going to move better than what Joshua's going to move. I mean, it is what it is. Joshua's a big-ass dude. So if you constantly resetting Joshua, he's basically trying to chase you down. And every time you do reset and get back into range, Usyk is popping a jab in your face. But he did hit Usyk a couple of times in that fight. And Usyk, like, you saw his eyes open up. Like, damn. Like, he felt Joshua's power. There's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of can Joshua make adjustments? That's just what it comes down to. Usyk already knows what he's got to do, and Usyk's got to try to figure out, all right, will he try to, like, box me this time? And this is going to be a boxing match, which to him, that's fine. I'm ready for that. Or is he going to say, fuck it, and go on the front foot like Tyson Fury did against Wilder in the second fight and just try to walk me down and smother me and hold me and push me around, rip body shots? And you got to understand, too, Demon, go back and watch that first fight, bro. Joshua hardly ever, he never went to the body against Usyk, bro. He was head hunting the whole time. And if you got a mover like that, you got to go to the body, bro. You got to slow this man down because you're too big to be chasing this smaller cruiserweight basically around the fucking ring. You got to take his legs out so you can set up those power shots. You feel me? So, we're going to see what Robert Garcia has planned. Now, Robert Garcia does implement and emphasize the jab. When you look at his fighters, he's always drilling his fighters the jab, 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 jab. Marcus Maidana, when he fought Mayweather, had a pretty good fucking jab against Mayweather. It bothered Mayweather a little bit. So Ryan Garcia is even when he was training Brandon Rios, when Brandon Rios, before he basically gave up on boxing and looked like shit, when he was still decent, he had a pretty damn good jab for being a flat-footed fighter. So I'm actually expecting Joshua to actually step forward strong with a big heavy jab against Usyk in this fight, and basically see if he can get Usyk to kind of, get stopped in his tracks a little bit. But he's got to go to the body, man. He's got a big heavy jab, right hand to the solar plexus. He's got to step around left hook and dig that left hook in there. But another thing too, Demon, I had to say it, bro. I think Joshua, man, I don't think being dropped a few times against Andy Ruiz and in other fights, I don't think he's confident behind that chin, bro. So that's why he doesn't commit to that step around hooks to the body and step in and like right uppercuts and shit like that. He tries to fight at range now. When you go back and watch the rematch against Andy Ruiz, now I'm being scientific with the Demon. You know how I do it. When you go back and watch that Andy Ruiz fight, the second time he stayed on the outside and boxed, used a jab, right hand down the pipe, and moved, right? So to me, I see a shift. He's changed who he is because he has been hurt now. He's been dropped. He's been stopped. And when that happens to you, you change. You feel me? So he's got to snap out of that. And I agree with you. He's got to snap out of that and say, you know what, man, this man can't hurt me. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. My chin's good. You know, he's not an Andrew Ruiz because Andrew Ruiz can punch. Let's not get it twisted. So I just got to step to him. And I gotta possibly get hit with the jab in order for me to land a big ass uppercut on the inside and hurt him. You know, he's got to take chances against Usyk because if he stays and tries to box, Usyk is gonna bounce around like a fucking wizard and beat him in 12. Period.
Okay, now let me ask you this, and I don't want this to sound no type of funny. Now, do you believe there's somewhere that Joshua can actually outmaneuver Usyk? Do you feel like in his genetics he should be able to outmaneuver Usyk just by nature? Do you feel like he can like outbox him and just outmove him being that big?
I think at heavyweight, Joshua is decent at moving, but he can't even, like, if you look at Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury, like when he beat Klitschko, I mean, he beat Klitschko because he fucking moved around everywhere. I mean, that's what Tyson Fury actually, how he made a name for himself before Wilder, was the fact that he's like 275 pounds bouncing around on his toes, working behind a jab. Right. Joshua's never done that. Joshua has moments where he can pop in, pop out. He can pivot a little bit. He's better than a lot of flat-footed, big, heavyweights. He's going to move better than Dillian White and those type of fighters. But is he one of the best? No. But he hasn't, up until he fought Andy Ruiz, who has a lot of fucking hand speed, has a lot of heart and a chin. He's never really had to move around a lot. He just set up his punches and boom, land a big shot and stop dudes. Or, you know, just get into an exchange and get the better of the exchange. So now in the Andrew Ruiz second fight, you saw him come out of his shell a little bit and show some boxing ability. Looked pretty good. Looked pretty solid, right? Moved well for his size. Got some athletic ability. But Usyk, though, man, I mean, the motherfucker's doing handstand walks and backflips and shit as a cruiserweight.
Right.
This dude is like, I mean, he's athletically gifted as well, and he's a smaller man. Like, he's not moving around in much weight, bro. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if you said, all right, Usyk, Joshua, stand on the line. We're going to run a 40-yard sprint. Let's see who's faster. Joshua might win because he's powerful. But if you asked him to do a 200-meter hurdles, Usyk's going to win that because he got less weight, and he's also very athletic.
Right.
So that's the way you got to look at it. Usyk has built his entire career at boxing. Joshua has not. Joshua has built his career at kind of being a boxer puncher, but more of a puncher. He's been big and strong, and he's able to hurt guys and knock dudes out and things like that, where Usyk has built his entire career of moving, boxing, and if he hurts a guy, he hurts him because maybe he wears him down later in fights and gets a stoppage or something like that. So, yeah, I mean, when you the eye test, like if you're a casual fan and you see Usyk stand next to Joshua, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, Joshua should win. I mean, when the first fight happened, I predicted Usyk to win. I got a lot of heat for it. I got a lot of hate. But my chick at the time, when we watched the weigh-in together, she was like, "Oh, he's gonna beat his ass. He's gonna beat that white dude's ass." And my chick told me that. I was like, "Why?" Well, because he looks bigger and stronger. He looks more athletically gifted. Like the eye test says, Joshua looks more athletic, right? Genetically gifted,
right?
But it's not the way it works. You know what I mean? It is
No,
boxing,
right.
bro.
You're right.
So
I went back and I watched Tony Bellew. Is that Bellew, right? Am I
yeah,
saying right?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, when he fought Usyk, he was whooping Usyk ass to the end. Till he got tired. Like he was whooping his ass. So do you think if Joshua adapts that style that he can beat Usyk?
Oh, it's very possible, but again, like Joshua's gas tank has never been that great either.
Right.
Usyk's gas tank has always been good. You can argue that Usyk wins fight just purely based off of his ability to stay active deep into fights, in which, you know, stepping into the heavyweight division as a cruiserweight, you're always going to have that advantage because heavyweights traditionally fucking gas out by round 7. And I think in that first fight between Usyk and Joshua, that's a big reason why Joshua just couldn't let his hands go anymore. I mean, he started gassing out. I mean, that's and Usyk didn't. Usyk had energy in that 12th round. Usyk almost stopped Joshua in the 12th.
Yeah, I seen that.
Almost stopped him, bro. But that's just because Joshua was fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that Joshua's got to fix, bro. He's got to get his conditioning right. He's got to find a weight that works for him. See, that's the thing about heavyweights. It's the problem that Wilder, or not the problem, but the mistake Wilder made in the third fight against Fury. He came in too fucking heavy.
Yeah, I believe that.
He came in too heavy, bro. And you can see the game plan. Round 1, right? He came out, boom, jab to the body, boom, jab to the body. Then you can see that's Malik Scott right there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he couldn't maintain that intensity at 240 pounds.
Right.
He's never been that heavy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like you look at the first, like I go back and watch the first fight all the time, and it fucking blows my mind. It blows my mind. The literally like the night and day difference between Wilder and the first fight and the third fight. Fuck the second fight. That fight is like that's a toss away fight.
Mm-hmm.
But the first fight and the third fight, the massive difference between Wilder's ability to move his feet, to move his head, to get away out of punches, to land his to set up his punches. He was quicker, faster, and he was able to deal with I'm talking about Wilder. Yeah. So it's crazy how it's like I understand the method behind it. He was trying because he knew in the second fight Fury was trying to like put his weight on him, and he felt like maybe he was a bit too small, so he tried to put on more mass to deal with Fury trying to like, you know, lay on him and maul him. But I don't think it was necessary. He should have came in there at 220. And that game plan of going to the body like he did in that first round, he would have been able to maintain that 20 pounds less. He would have been able to maintain that longer. And not only that, when he dropped Fury, I think if he was 220, he would have finished him off. He would have stopped him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that he was very elusive in that first fight. Like
very elusive. I mean, first fight, he looked fucking phenomenal in the first fight. Like his foot speed, he looked fucking great. And it's like, wow, when you look at Wilder in the third fight, I mean, muscular wise, he looked great. Like he looked in great shape, like muscular wise. But he's just not a 240 pound fighter. He's just not.
Yeah, that shit is heavy. When you walking around like that, when I bulked up from 200 to 210, that shit is heavy. It's
yeah.
heavy.
And you don't really notice it until like 10 minutes or 15 minutes into a workout. You know, when your heart rate doesn't recover the same, you feel a little bit more exhausted. You know, you feel like you're more thirsty because you're carrying around much more water weight, so you got to rehydrate more. There's a lot of shit that goes involved in that, right? And so that's why Wilder, as a lean, fast heavyweight, and at some points in his career, he was 215 knocking dudes out.
Right. Well,
it's like speed kills, and that's a lot of things. That's something about Wilder that people underestimate. Everyone said, "Oh, power, power, power." A lot of the reasons why Wilder knocked dudes out is because he was way faster. Like, if you go back and look at that Dominic Brazil fight, when he knocked out Dominic Brazil, that was speed. That was straight speed. Yeah. I mean, Dominic Brazil didn't know what the fuck hit him because it just happened so fast.
Right.
And he didn't have that same speed and velocity against Fury because Fury, he saw a lot of the punches coming. And that he was able to duck underneath and hold on and shit like that. But imagine Wilder 20 pounds lighter and faster. He would have lit Fury's ass up in that third fight. He would have lit him up.
Yeah.
I believe
because Fury was big too. Fury was slow as fuck in that third fight.
Yeah, he would have. I think Fury would have gassed it if Wilder was smaller. And then what he needed to do was Wilder shouldn't have changed his gloves as well because he broke his hand.
Yeah, he broke his hand. Yeah,
he never changed his gloves. The fight goes on longer. You know what I mean? But he was a warrior, and I give him all respect for that, man. He went there and he did his thing.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. A lot of fighters in that situation, if that was Dillian White, he would have just sat there. He would have gave up.
And then after the fight, him and Dillian White would have did some other things. But that's not for us to be talking about.
Yeah.
But
I mean, hindsight is always 20/20, and I believe that if he does come back, watch him come back 220. Just like he was before, 215 to 220. Come back, and whoever he's going to fight, I feel bad for him.
Definitely.
Because they're about to get lit up.
But see, back then, the heavyweight didn't weigh that much back in the day anyway. So
I mean, shit, Rocky Marciano was like 190 pounds.
Yeah, like 185, 190.
Fucking crazy. And he was, fighting guys that were, 210, 220. Back in the day, like even the Jack Dempsey era, Jack Dempsey was a fucking super small heavyweight as well. And he beat like giants, like what they called giants back then. Like if you were 6'4", 230, you were a fucking giant back then.
Right.
Whereas now you're 6'4", 230. Oh, that's just a normal heavyweight.
Right. But see, Ali came in small too, right?
Early days, yeah, like Cassius Clay, like when he fought Sonny Liston, I think he was 215 maybe.
Right.
Yeah, but he's tall, rangy. But Sonny Liston was a big boy though. He was probably 230, 240 easily. And then George Foreman came along when George was a giant, right? So when George made the scene, they were like, people were terrified of him. I mean, he was a fucking beast.
Yeah,
and people
out.
Yeah, people don't realize that, man. When you dissect Muhammad Ali's resume, and you can nitpick it all you want, the fact that he beat George Foreman, when George Foreman, by the way, he just got done dismantling Joe Frazier.
Yeah. He
smacked Joe Frazier across the ring like he was a rag doll. That shit was crazy. And Ali stepping in, people are like, Ali, bro, this guy's gonna kill you, bro. Like, did you see what he did to Joe Frazier? Like, you couldn't even do that to Joe Frazier. Like, he's gonna fucking destroy you. You're not in your prime anymore. You don't move your feet like the way you used to anymore. And Ali said, man, I got this. I got it. And he played, he did the rope-a-dope, and he waited until Big George got tired. And big trees fall hard. And he chopped him down.
Right. But I seen it with George. George was catching him, though. George was definitely hitting him, though, for sure.
Oh, George was definitely hitting him. And a lot of people say that was the beginning of the brain damage that Ali took, which led to Parkinson's, was that fight.
Right.
A lot of people make that argument because he took some fucking hellacious blows where most heavyweights would have been knocked out. No doubt about it. And that's what shocked George. George is like, how the fuck is this guy taking these punches? Because nobody has ever taken these punches that I've been throwing. And it's not like, I mean, he was literally laying on the ropes, getting beat up and taking it. Which that's just so incredible. That just shows you the heart and determination when you've got like 80,000 Africans screaming your name, and that just propelled him to victory.
Right. Now, can you just imagine if that was Tank and Haney was sitting on the ropes taking Tank's punches like that? Could you imagine that?
It'll be a sight. It'll be a sight. Yeah, but it's if they fight, it'll probably be at If they fight in the next couple of years, it'll be at 135. But if Tank waits too long, because that's, in my opinion, that's what it would be. It would be Tank waiting for the right time to fight Devin.
Right.
Then it'll be at 140. And so I don't think it really matters 135 or 140. I think Devin beats him anyway. But it's a smaller division. It can obviously comparison to heavyweights. You don't gotta fight off the ropes if you're Devin. You stay right in the middle of the ring and just pierce him with the jab the whole fucking night. And just like, all right, you get past my jab first. If you get past my jab, you hit me with a couple big shots, then I'll go to plan B, and then I'll go to plan C. And then, that's the layers to Devin Haney's game that people don't understand. People get so frustrated at the fact that he clinches or he doesn't try to knock dudes out or whatever the fuck. But it's like, well, nobody's figured out how to beat him. Like the fact that you get clinched, the whole idea of boxing is like whatever your opponent does, you have to figure out a way to beat it. And clinching is part of that.
Right.
And it's something that George couldn't do. George, he said in the post fight, right? He's like, oh, he kept holding me. It's like, well, what did you do to negate that? You couldn't do shit. You kept doing the same thing, and Devin just kept, grabbing you. So what the fuck are you gonna do about it?
Right.
Like it's your responsibility as a fighter. You can't rely on the referee. Like, yeah, the referee's there to make sure there's not excessive clinching and all that shit, but it's a fight, bro. Like, you can't just look at the referee and be like, hey, are you gonna tell? I mean, like, well, do something. You know what I mean? Like, punch on the inside, grab him, grab his head, pull his head down, get grimy. Make Devin feel like, oh, I don't want to clinch this dude, because when I do, he's putting elbows in my face, he's grabbing my head, he's putting a shoulder in my chin, he's doing little grimy shit to make Devin be reluctant to grab you.
Right.
And you didn't do none of that. You just kept getting grabbed. And then you got your fucking head jabbed off constantly. You see your head snapping back. And
I got one more thing, because I got to hit the gym after this one. This is just a fantasy fight. This is just fantasy. Who you think can win, Layla or Clarissa? In their primes, both of them.
I saw Layla fight. I've seen her fight.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Clarissa fight a couple times as well. That's tough. They're actually similar weight class too, aren't they?
I can't remember where Layla fought at, but I watched her fight. I watched her destroy Christy Martin. She obliterated her. I watched a couple of her fights.
Layla was fucking good, man. She was legit. A lot of people just thought that she got a little bit of fame because of her dad, but she was fucking good, bro. I don't care what nobody says.
Even when she beat what's his name, Smoking Joe daughter. Even when she beat Rachel's daughter, she is just. I'm gonna edge it out and give it to Layla. I will give it to Layla. I'll give it to Layla.
Layla, man, she's just, it's hard to go against her, because she has that heart like her dad, man, and she boxed beautifully for a woman. Sometimes you get them in there, they're like rock'em sock'em robots sometimes. But she moved around, used to jab beautifully. She was just athletically gifted. Now Clarissa Shields, she's tough too. But yeah, it's a fantasy fight, so there's no winners or losers, right? But I would say I would probably edge it out to Layla, man. I just think that she's built just a little bit different. But that's just me, man. But yeah, I'm gonna close up shop as well, bro. I'm gonna go to the gym myself, to get that work in. So everybody that dropped in, man, I appreciate you, man. If you haven't hit that like button since you've been in here, make sure you do that before you head up out of here. I'm gonna close the poll. Out of the three, who's the best? Tank Garcia, that's Ryan Garcia, and Haney. 52% to Haney, barely edges out Tank. Tank is at 41%. So razor close on who they think is the best. Yeah. So that's where the poll's at. I'm going to end that. Omega Red. Yeah, man, you got to hit that replay, bro. I'm up out of here, man. Everyone who dropped in, I appreciate you. If you haven't hit that like, hit that like. If you're new, subscribe. I'll be back with another one soon. More than likely, big panel, Spence, Crawford. We're going to hash it out, so don't miss it. I'm out.